Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today's topic is for 9th class physics. Here the topic is addition of forces, or we can simply say this is addition of vectors also. As vector force is a vector quantity. To add vectors we need some special rules. Why? Because vectors are those quantities which has magnitude as well as directions. To add them, we have to give a method which is known as head to tail rule. And what is this rule? I am going to explain this. First of all, if two vectors are added, let's suppose those vectors are represented as A and B. For example, these are some forces. 20 Newton acting on north and a vector B of 10 Newton acting on east. We have to add these vectors. And vector B, which is of 10 Newton force acting along east. To add these vector quantities, we will make a frame of reference. This is our frame of reference. As our forces are acting along north and east, we will make a frame of reference according to this. This is the north. Downward is south. The right direction it is east and the left it is west. To add these two vectors A plus B, first of all we have to select a suitable scale. Now here the scale which I am choosing is 5 Newton is equal to 1 centimeter. That means 20 Newton force will be represented by a 4 centimeter line and a 10 Newton force will be represented by a 2 centimeter line. Now I will draw my first vector which was of 20 Newton along north, which is represented by a 4 centimeter line. So on scale 4 centimeter line is drawn. Direction is along the north, which represent a 20 Newton force. This is my vector A. And to draw my second vector, which was about 10 Newton along east, will be represented by a 2 centimeter line and direction is along east. This is my vector B. To add these two vectors, I'll draw my first vector A again, which is of 4 centimeter along north, and now I will add the vector B in such a way that the tail of the second vector coincided with the head of the first vector, like this. This was of 2 centimeter, my vector B along east. Now, if there is any other third vector, I'll add in the similar pattern. Like the tail of that vector will coincide with the head of the second vector. But as I am only adding here two vectors, so I have done this. Now what would be my resultant vector? Resultant vector is a vector which tail is coincided with the first vector and head is coincided with the last vector. Like this. Note that the resultant vector head is coincided with the head of the last vector and tail is coincided with the tail of the first vector. This vector is called my resultant vector. The direction of this gives us the direction of the resultant vector, and the scale will give us the value of the magnitude of the resultant vector. That's how we can add two vectors according to head to tail rule.